Common issues from SEO audits and how to fix them. If you've done an SEO audit recently and you've got a list of issues but you don't know how to actually fix them, this episode's for you. SEO Snacks. Hello and welcome to SEO Snacks, bite-sized SEO tips and hacks that you can implement straight away. My name's Janelle, I'm an SEO consultant from ContentQueen, and today I'm going to be taking you through the most common issues that come from SEO audits and how to fix them. As this is called SEO Snacks, snacks are involved. I've got until the end of my snack to tell you my SEO hack or tip, so let's see what my snack of the week is. And you can nominate a snack by leaving it in the comments, please be kind. And this week's snack we have salted peanuts. Classic. Alright, so now that I've got my snack, it's time to get into my SEO hack. Peanuts. Good thing I don't have a peanut allergy. Cool, let's go. Alright, so you're watching this episode because you've conducted an SEO audit and you've probably got some things that you need to fix, but you're like, don't really know how to fix these things, or whether it's important for me to do so. So in this episode I'm going to cover the key things that will show in your SEO audit and how to fix them. I'm not going to go into too much depth into how to actually fix these things. I'm just going to do a summary and then how you go about fixing them, but I'm not going to break it down into minute details because we'll be here all night and I want to go drink beers. So let's get into it, shall we? Speaking of beers, it may look like a coffee cup, but... Cool, so number one of the most common thing you're going to find on your SEO audit is duplicate content issues. So what this means is that Google, or the SEO audit crawler, has picked up that you've got pages on your website that have duplicate content or very close content. So what you need to do in this instance is make sure that they're not duplicate. How do you go about this? Well, if they are actually meant to be two separate pages with different content, make sure the content on them is actually different. So make sure you look at all the content on the page, the heading tags, the meta titles and descriptions, and make sure that they're actually representative of what that page is actually meant to be about. So just make sure that the copy is different, change the imagery and things like that to ensure that they're not duplicates. Now, what happens if they are actually duplicates and you don't want both versions to be visible? Well, you can put a no index tag on one of them, the one that is the duplicate, or you could add a canonical link to the page that is meant to be the number one original page, and that will be a signal to Google to say this page may look similar, but this is the original. To do that, do it in your content management system. If you have any questions about how to go about this, leave them in the comments or get in touch with me at contentqueen.co.nz and I'll help you out. So the next thing is missing alternative text or missing alt text. So what this means is that your image is missing an alternative description or text that describes the image in the case that it doesn't load. So if your image doesn't load on the website, then this alternative text is what people will actually see. So it's important that it accurately describes what the image is meant to be about, and it's also a great way to include keywords of what you want that image and page to be found for to give more context to the page and relevance in Google's eyes. So make sure you add alternative text to every image in the case that it doesn't load. And it just is meant to accurately describe what the image is of, and also include the key search terms or phrases that you want that page to be found for. So this is an easy fix. Just go into the images that are missing alternative text and add a description of the image. Easy. Got one. Got him. Got two. Yeah. Alright, so the next one is missing meta titles and descriptions, or duplicate meta titles and descriptions. So what this means is if your meta title and description is missing, you're missing an opportunity for that to pull through and show in search engine results. So the meta title is the blue text that shows up in Google as the title of the page, and the description is the black text underneath it. So if you've got duplicate meta titles, that means that you've got two or more pages on your website that are about the same thing. So Google doesn't know which one to show. So make sure they're all different, and the meta titles should accurately describe what your page is about and give the user an indication of what they're going to find if they click through to your page. It's a really important part for SEO, so make sure that each meta title and description on your website is unique and contains the keywords that you want that page to be found for. If you want any help writing great meta titles and descriptions that Google loves, make sure you check out my previous video on that. It's going to be findable by clicking up here, and I'm also going to publish it in the description so you can watch it straight after this one. But carrying on from duplicate meta titles and descriptions, you might see another issue in your SEO audit that says that your meta title is too long. So basically what this means that it's exceeding 60 characters in length. So that means in Google search results it's going to be truncated and show the 3 dots instead of showing your full meta title. This isn't actually going to affect you too badly, but just make sure that the things that are showing make sense, right? So that it's not actually cutting off important parts of the title. If it is, just make sure that you rewrite it so that it's shorter, 60 characters in length maximum, and then it's going to fit in there beautifully. But it's not really going to negatively affect your SEO, but it is something to pay attention to. Peanuts. Alright, the next one is broken links. So this is essentially pages on your website or links that go nowhere and they return a 404 error. So what you need to do is identify where these links are and fix them, or the pages that they're linking to that is broken. You need to set up an automated redirection so that any links pointing to that page are redirected, excuse me, peanut stuck in my throat, are redirected to a different page. So anyone that clicks that link is automatically redirected to a page that makes sense for the user. So say you've deleted a page on your website, you need to then redirect that page to a new page so that the user doesn't end up on an error page. To do this, it depends which content management system you're using, but say with WordPress, you've got automated redirection plugins that you can use. So therefore, when you want to redirect a page, you just add it in there and then automatically it will do everything for you so that the next time someone clicks on a link that goes to a page that doesn't exist anymore, you've already set up a redirect so that they're going to have the best possible experience by landing on a page that's relevant to what they clicked through to instead of an error page. And this is also great for SEO and Google because Google was then not going to have a bad experience but ended up on a 404 page, and then it's not going to negatively affect your SEO. Alright, the next one is slow page speed. No. Okay, so no one likes a slowed? That's a new word, I just made it up. Slowed means slow loading website. You're welcome. So no one likes a slow website. When you click through to a website from Google and it takes more than a few seconds to load, you're probably back to find another search result because no one likes to have to wait around for something to load. Google will rank your website lower if it's slow AF. If it takes more than 4 seconds to load, your website is not going to rank as highly as other websites that are on the same caliber as yours. So therefore you need to make sure that your website's as fast loading as possible, and to do this you need to make sure that you're not fluffing up your pages with lots of imagery and videos and crazy animations. Keep it simple, keep it fast. So to do this, make sure that your images are as small as possible. You can implement lazy loading. Your content management system generally does this for you, but just go in and check, especially if your SEO audit has highlighted particular images that are really big. Make sure you go and resize them and then re-upload them. Another thing is, you'll probably find that it's got a lot more issues other than just imagery that is slowing it down, and to be fair, these are probably things that you can't fix yourself. If your website is still really slow loading and you've done everything you can to make sure that it's as fast as possible yourself, it's time to hire a developer to help you. A developer can do some fun things to the code that actually changes the way that your page loads and therefore can make it faster. But remember, you can only do so much yourself when it comes to speed, especially if you're using a content management system like Wix or WordPress. So if you really are finding you've got a huge issue with speed, hire a developer to help you. Next one is saying that your website is not secure, which means it doesn't have an SSL certificate, which means that you're in an HTTP version instead of an HTTPS version. So HTTPS is when you've got the little padlock in the browser bar. And what this does is it shows that your website is secure. And this is great for the user because they can see, oh, I'm on a secure website and my information is going to be kept secure on this website. And also it's a ranking factor from Google's perspective because it only wants people to be browsing on websites that have this extra layer of security to protect user data. So in order to meet best practice, you need to get one of these SSL certificates on your domain. And how you go about this is go to your domain host, or your web hosting provider, say you're with Bluehost or GoDaddy, and get them to give you an SSL certificate and just let them implement it for you. Don't worry about having to add this to your website yourself because it's quite technical and you don't want to fuck it up. So just ask your hosting provider to implement the certificate for you, and it should be as smooth as daisies, and then you're all secure and Google's happy, and so are your website visitors. I feel like I'm doing this. I feel like a little T-Rex. The next one is too many H1 tags on a page. So if you've got duplicate H1 tags, which are heading tags on a particular web page, or if you've got multiple H1 tags on one page. So what is an H1 tag? It's a heading tag, and there's only meant to be one of these H1 tags on a web page. It should be the first heading, and it's basically the title of your page. Meta titles are what shows in Google search results, and heading tags are what shows on your actual web page. So each web page should only have one heading tag, and this is the most important heading on the page and helps Google to understand what that page is about. If you've got more than one, it confuses Google, and it's like, okay, what's the hierarchy of this web page? What's the most important information? So each web page, just to make it easy for Google, is only meant to have one of these. So if you've got more, turn the additional heading tags into heading 2 tags instead of heading 1 tags, and make sure you've just got one on the page. If you've got duplicate heading tags, then again, just make sure that they're different. Just change the headings so that they're not duplicated. Easy. Oh, I'm almost out of peanuts. Alright, so the next one is low text to HTML ratio. What the hell does that mean? It means that your content is thin. And what does that mean? It means skinny content, shit content, short content. So text to HTML ratio just means that you've got more code on the page than you've got actual content, which is just an indication to say that you've probably got a shit page and it's not comprehensive, it's not providing much value for the user, and if someone lands on it, they're probably not going to find a lot on it. So if you've got pages like this, have a look at the page and its purpose. Is it actually meant to do something for the user? If so, make sure that it's comprehensive and actually provides value. If it's not, and it's a page that just serves no real purpose, then redirect it to something that's actually going to be useful and delete the page. So low text to HTML ratio, just an indication that you've probably got a page on your website that doesn't have much on it and really doesn't serve much purpose. But in some cases it might do, so this goes by a case-by-case basis. An SEO audit is designed to highlight what's not best practice from a bot's perspective, not a human conducting this audit. It's just crawling your website and pulling up things that from its own perspective is calculated doesn't meet best practice. It's always going to be a case-by-case basis as you trawl through these pages yourself to look at these things that it's saying are errors and should be fixed. Whether or not they actually need to be fixed is something that you need to decide. And there you have it, 8 of the most common issues that arise out of SEO audits and how to fix them in a nutshell. If you have any questions at all, please leave them in the comments and I'll get back to you ASAP. If you'd like to nominate a snack, also leave it in the comments. Please be kind, but I love it when you nominate snacks, especially when it's something that I've never had before. Thank you so much for watching this episode of SEO Snacks. My name is Janelle, I'm from ContentQueen. If you'd like to find out more about me or work with me, visit my website contentqueen.co.nz and speak to me there. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Please subscribe so you don't miss a future episode of SEO Snacks, and I'll see you next time. Bye! SEO Snacks.